In today's history highlight, we'll be discussing Henrietta Lacks. Henrietta Lacks was born on August 18, 1920, to a poor African-American tobacco farmer family. She spent much of her childhood with her grandfather, Thomas Lacks, and lived in a log cabin that was once the slave quarters on a plantation formerly owned by Henrietta's white great-grandfather and great-uncle. Henrietta grew up in a time of racial segregation and attended a school designated for black children only before later dropping out to work full-time on a tobacco farm to support her family. She later married David Day Lacks and gave birth to 5 children. But 4.5 months after her final child was born, Henrietta was diagnosed with an aggressive cervical cancer and would unknowingly spark a revolution in medical research. Henrietta sought treatment from the only hospital in the area that accepted patients of color, Johns Hopkins Hospital, where she received treatment for her cervical cancer. According to an article by PubMed Central, on February 1, 1951, Miss Lacks visited Johns Hopkins because of a painful knot in her cervix and bloody vaginal discharge. After a biopsy was conducted, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. The appearance of the tumor was unlike anything the examining gynecologist, Dr. Howard Jones, had seen. Prior to the treatment for the carcinoma, cells from the tumor were removed for research purposes without her knowledge or permission, which was standard procedure at that time. During her second visit, 8 days later, Dr. George Otto Gay obtained another sample of her tumor. These cells would eventually become the HeLa Immortal cell line. The cells were called the HeLa cell line after the first 2 letters of her first and last names to protect her identity and the Lacks family. Henrietta was in significant pain and had no improvement in her symptoms, so she returned to Johns Hopkins Hospital on August 8th, demanding admission. She remained there until her death on October 4th at the age of 31. A subsequent partial autopsy was conducted, which showed that the cancer had metastasized throughout her body. Dr. Gay discovered that Henrietta's cells did something they had never seen before. They could be kept alive and grow. Cells obtained previously from other sources would survive for only a few days. Henrietta's cells have had a massive impact on scientific research. Her HeLa cells have led to blood cancer research and advancements in chemotherapy. Her cells have been used extensively in cancer research to understand how cancer cells grow and spread, leading to better treatments and therapies. Her cells were also crucial for the development of the polio vaccine, in which researchers used her cells to test the vaccine's effectiveness and safety. Her cells have also been used to test the effects of various drugs and chemicals, helping to identify potential new treatments and understand their side effects. HeLa cells have been extremely influential in genetic research, contributing to our understanding of human genetics and functioning of genes. HeLa cells have helped scientists understand fundamental biological processes, including cell division and cellular metabolism, which are essential for various fields of research. Henrietta's cells have contributed greatly to groundbreaking scientific discoveries worldwide, particularly in the field of cancer research. Despite Henrietta being at the center of a medical miracle, her family was never informed about the use of her cells in research and remained in the dark about their mother's life-saving legacy for decades. It wasn't until 1973, when a scientist contacted Henrietta's children looking for blood samples, that the family learned that their mother's cells were being experimented with in labs across the globe. The family's concerns were ignored for years, and in 2013, researchers publicly shared the genome of the HeLa cells for anyone to download. At the time of her death back in 1951, Henrietta's husband, David Lacks, was told little about the samples and what was being done with them. Suspicions fueled by racial issues prevalent in the South at the time were compounded by issues of class and education. Members of the Lacks family were kept in the dark about the existence of the tissue line, and when its existence was revealed publicly in a 1976 Rolling Stone article by Michael Rogers, family members were confused about how Henrietta's cells could have been taken without consent and how they could still be alive 25 years after her death. The Lacks family continued to fight for their mother's legacy, And in time, they came to an agreement that rather than being publicly available, researchers who wanted to use the data from Henrietta's genome should apply for access and report each year on their findings. Henrietta's injustice finally had some closure. In 2023, the Lacks family settled a lawsuit with a pharmaceutical company who had profited massively from Henrietta's cells, though the terms of the settlement remain confidential. Henrietta's story is often invoked in conversations about medical ethics, informed consent, and patients' rights in research, and has put a spotlight on these issues. Though she was buried in an unmarked grave, Henrietta has since been honored with plaques, statues, and street names around the world. Today, the HeLa cell line continues to be used by researchers. Her cells were crucial in the fight against polio, helped develop the COVID vaccine, and have even traveled to space. Henrietta Lacks is an unsung hero of medical research and will be remembered forever for her unknowing but invaluable contribution to science and humanity. Thanks for watching today's history highlight. I hope this video provides you with a brief overview of Henrietta Lacks, her life, her accomplishments, and her legacy. I will have the links to the articles from which I got the information from linked below. Thanks for watching today's history highlight.